Guys, it's currently Monday. I am editing my TikTok shop videos, and it is Monday. It is early to start filming YouTube videos, but I wanted to just get an early start because I had an interesting talk with Julie, my girlfriend, this weekend, and it made me open my eyes to a lot of things. And basically, I've been committing a lot of time to content creation in general, and content creation is not just TikTok shop or just YouTube. I do content on a lot of different platforms, and then I have to edit and stuff, and it's very easy, I think, to get caught up in the flow and the grind of things that you lose track of your schedule, and you slowly start to lose how much time you actually have. And I'll be talking about this a little more in the video, but part of my plan is to just get started early on stuff and then to block off time, and we'll get into that later in the video. Right now I'm out in my building's little courtyard area filming some TikToks, and one of the methods that I developed myself, I don't think I've seen anyone do this before, but I basically set up all of my cameras. I have all my DJI cameras, and this is my little excuse to my girlfriend when I tell her why I have all these cameras. I set them all up and I put them all in vertical position, and then I hit record, and then I film the TikTok videos. That way I get 4. So I have the DJI Pocket 3, I have the Action 6, I have the Nano, and I have the Sony camera, and they're all recording at the same time. But that way, if one of those videos pops off, I have a repeated version of the original video, if that makes sense. I'm able to produce more content in a shorter amount of time, and I don't always do this, but when I feel like I don't really have time on my side, then I tend to employ this technique just so that I have more time. Just now I filmed I think 3 TikToks, and since I had 4 cameras out, that actually will net me 12 TikToks. Another reason I wanted to walk out here is because I wanted to test out, so I learned a new technique. So I was struggling with the exposure. I was like, how come I don't have ND filters on here? How come my ND filters aren't working? I figured out that sometimes you don't just need ND filters, you can play with the aperture, and I was going with f2.8 the whole time, and that means that you have I guess it's more wide open, so you're taking in more light. But when it's bright outside, you don't need to have that much light. So I ended up switching on the ring on my Sony camera, on the Sony lens. I switched the aperture to 4. Actually could go down as well. Let me go put the camera down. But yeah, you could go down to 4, and then it already lightens up the background so it's not so blown out looking, but then it does make me darker. Look at that. You can see the sky now. You can see the color of the sky. And I think that's super cool, because then I don't necessarily need to put on the darkest ND filter and not be able to see. This right here is f4. If I go back to f2.8, I'll show you what happens. So if I open it up, if I turn that ND filter up, that's what it looks like. But then if I switch the aperture, take in less light, and shift this to f4, then suddenly it's still blown out, but it's a lot less blown out. But then if I crank the ND filter down, it looks like that, right? So then now look, I get that, and then I'm not really using the ND filter to its full potential, and this is the lighter ND filter. This isn't my 6 to 9 stop, so that's what it looks like when I have the aperture cranked up, or is it down? The sweet spot is gonna be f4 and ND filter cranked all the way, and now look at that, damn, maybe I don't even need to have the 6 to 9 stop anymore. I can just leave the 1 to 5 stop, I think it's called. Typically I would look into the camera. I know I'm not looking at the camera, but it's because I'm looking at the viewfinder to see how that is. But look, can we see the sun? Not really, but this looks a lot better, I think. But of course, I think you lose a lot of the background blur when you do that. But I think at f4 it should still be fine. If I'm close to the camera, then it should be fine. So I was actually gonna film outside today because it's such a nice day and we've been having such horrible weather. Let me just show you guys outside what it looks like. Look at this view that I have from my condo. Isn't that crazy? But anyways, getting back to the point of the video. So if you're watching this video because you're an entrepreneur or you're following a similar journey and you wanna make money on an online space, something that I've learned along the way is that without proper time management, time will escape you very easily. There's something about making money online that it is so addicting. And even not just making money online, but the prospect of making money online. Like, for example, YouTube currently doesn't make me any money, but the thought of me building my channel, the level of like say TikTok or Amazon where I've made 6 figures on there, but the thought of growing something from nothing to something, it's addicting. But at the end of the day, we do have things that are super important to us. Some of us have families. I have a girlfriend and I have parents, grandparents. And sometimes because there's so many things and we have so little time during the day, whether it's recording videos or editing them or just trying to brainstorm new ideas, it gets hard. And at the end of the day, what are we even working so hard for in the first place? What's your why? We have to have a why. That's what's driving us to do what we're passionate about. For me, I don't really care to do a bunch of TikToks and I don't really care to do a bunch of Amazon videos. But I know that with the amount of money that I'm able to generate online and how easy it is, it makes financial sense for me to pursue that, especially when I've seen success so far. So my why is, yes, my future family, which includes my girlfriend. But sometimes we feel like we're behind. But if we take time away from our mission, then sometimes we feel like we're behind. And so I'm definitely a work in progress, but an idea that I've been floating around and I've been thinking about lately is literally blocking off time for those certain activities and also prioritizing the things that also matter to you. So one thing that I'm trying is to block off a certain amount of time exclusively for the work that I'm doing, whether it's TikTok, Amazon, or YouTube. And then once that time is over, it's over. Because a lot of times we start a project and there's no end in sight. And for me personally, I can go nonstop and like I could literally work 24 hours a day. So with that in mind, now I'm able to block off a certain amount of time towards my craft. But even deeper than that, I'm blocking off certain periods for certain tasks, and that allows me to get more into the flow of whatever it is I'm doing. So for example, I'm trying out batch recording where for 2 hours straight, all I'm doing is recording, and I'm trying to get as much recording as I can done. Even if I finish what I thought I could, I have to try for more. So those are my 2 hours. I'm not editing during that time. I'm not posting. I'm not researching. I'm strictly recording. So of course I have my normal 9 to 5. I'm an engineer. And then I have a break for dinner. And then at that time I spend some quality time with Julie. And then there's a second session after that where I'm exclusively editing the recorded content that I did earlier. And then that's about like an hour. It ends up being like 3 hours that I'm committed to editing and recording. Because I'm not going back and forth between editing and recording and doing all this stuff, I'm in the zone for whatever it is. And then also once I pass that point for recording or once I pass that point for editing, I can't revisit it. And sometimes I can't edit all the things that I recorded, but that's okay because the next day I don't have to record as much and I can focus on editing more. And I think it's just a way for me to keep balance because I do have ADHD and I have a thing called super focus. So this might not apply to all of you, but when you have super focus, sometimes you don't see the end in sight and you can just lock in and before you know it, the day's over. Then last, but certainly not least, because I have all of my editing in one block and all of my recording in one block, there's a special time at the end of the day, about an hour, possibly 2 hours, where it's dedicated to spending with my why, which is Julie. We don't have a family. This means that we can spend more time to connect with each other because we've committed to that time slot. Not that it's like set in stone and we have to do it at that time, just a rough like 1 to 2 hours. Because we have that, it gives us an opportunity to not be overwhelmed by our daily lives, that we don't have time for each other. And to be fair, I think that's like my biggest flaw is that I'm so addicted to working and pumping out and grinding and my inputs versus my outputs that we can miss out on opportunities to connect with each other. So this way I have something to look forward to, and I know that if I don't finish something, then that's on me. If I don't get to recording, that's on me. So I think that's a fair trade-off. So I know that was a lot of rambling today, but I just wanted to give some insights into some thoughts that I've been having, and that's what this channel is all about, because I want it to be a journal and more so for myself than anything, just so that I can be more true to myself and not get caught up in all that social media stuff that I'm posting so that I can make money. I'm not trying to make money on YouTube. It'd be nice to make money on YouTube, but that's not the goal. The goal is to document the journey here and revisit all the things that happen in my life. So hope you guys liked the video. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.